Hey everybody, Unstable Gamer here, and welcome back to TMNT Mutant Madness. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the top 10 best characters in the game so far, and which rooms you want to prioritize first. The top 3, actually, that you want to prioritize first. We're going to talk about that as well. But first, before we do, if you're just now finding this channel and you want to stay up to date with this and other games, consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss out. All right, and welcome back. So TMNT Mutant Madness has been out for, what? Almost a week? So the question might be, well, if it's only been out for less than a week, how can we already have a top 10? So I am going to put a few qualifiers here. But first, just a reminder, all of my social media links are in the description of every video. Definitely check that out. Come out on Discord and talk about the game with us as well. Also, I do stream 3 times a week. Try to anyway, sometimes it doesn't really work, but Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays we stream as well on Twitch. That link is in the description as well. All right, so this game here, how can we have a top 10 if it's only been out for less than a week? Well, so it's been in beta for a while. I've been playing for a little over a month now. So I think I got a good grasp on some of the best characters early on, and some of the characters that work early on that you can safely develop and level up and use them effectively in, I don't know, I would consider where I am. So Adventure 1723, I would consider that towards the end game, the late game. So I don't know where it ends. I know there's people up in Adventure 20, so I don't know how far it goes. I do know that there's like 610 battles in this game. I wish I would have started counting earlier, but I didn't. So let's go ahead and dive into this, talk about these top 10, and then we're going to talk about the 3 most important rooms to work on right now. All right, so let's pull up my roster. In no particular order, because there is no way to effectively farm characters in this game. It is completely RNG, and it's based on whatever you get first. So you never know when you're going to get them, so I can't really put them in any specific order, but they're all safe to level up and use them in the game. So first, I'm going to go with Rocksteady. Rocksteady's great. Early on, he didn't seem all that fantastic, but he does do some massive damage. He's a ranged tank. Let's just pull him up a little bit here. And when you take a look at the power level of a character, this is kind of how the power breakdown. It takes into account, there's the base power, ooze level, that's just the level of the character, the star level, dimension level, so whenever you get a duplicate, you get a certain amount of dimension level, which adds to the power, your dojo level, and then your equipment. So that all goes into your power level, so I've got him at about 14,000 right there. But he's got a great kit, does some massive hits, and like I said, is a ranged tank, so he's really good. April is kind of one that I didn't put a whole lot of stock into, but she does fantastic. She has a stun. She also has, if you take a look at a couple of these, a couple of her abilities. So target all allies, give plus 100 alertness for 3 seconds. Target all enemies, inflict minus 200 alertness for 3 seconds. We're going to go over, there's going to be another video to go specifically over stats, but I believe alertness has to do with defense. The defense of a character. So she not only does a nice stun, but she also, look at this, minus 40% haste, minus 40% alertness for 6 seconds on an enemy. So she reduces the speed of the character, reduces the defense. She's got a great kit here that works out very well. And so she's in the top 10 as well. Baxter is great. Also, Baxter's got a nice disarm. Works out pretty well. And you can get pretty early on in the game. Donatello, number 4, works out really well as well. I think he's probably one of the better turtles. There's 2 turtles that I think are the best out of all of them right now. But Donnie has a nice AoE damage, works out pretty well. He can be a little bit squishy, but he works out fairly well as well. So that's 4. Next is going to be Leatherhead. Leatherhead has a nice stun. It's a single target stun, and it works out very well, especially in this game here, when this game, I would safely say the meta is more focused around AoE damage and stuns. If you can do some nice AoE damage and get some nice stuns, and you stun lock some enemies, especially stun locking bosses, then you're going to go far in this. So it's always good to have characters who can stun, and Leatherhead is one of them. Mikey, I think, is the best turtle out of all of them. He's great. Donnie's great. But Michelangelo has an AoE stun. Now, he is a bit squishy as well. At 2-star, I was having a hard time keeping him going. At 3-star, he's much better. So I'm sure once we get this guy up to a 5-star, he's going to be fantastic. But AoE stun is absolutely awesome. So when you have an AoE stun and a single target stun, one thing to keep in mind is you can manually battle. So what I tend to do is Mikey will typically go first. So he'll do an AoE stun. Then when it comes up to Leatherhead, I'll take it out of auto. I'll manually target Leatherhead's stun for somebody else who isn't stunned so I can effectively use my stuns, and then put it back into auto until Leatherhead comes back up, and then just kind of rinse and repeat. So you can kind of go in and out of battle, auto and manual, so you can target your stuns, and that is where you're going to be most effective in some of those later battles that are just really, really tough. All right, so there we go. That is what? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Next, we're going to go to Shredder. Shredder is great. I think he's got a fun kit. I mean, he does some massive damage here, too. So choose an enemy at range 2, move next to them, deal 3.2 thousand physical damage, target all enemies at range 1, and inflict disarm for 2 seconds. So you do that initial attack. You disarm, especially when you have a lot of enemies bunched up. You disarm everybody, so it reduces the damage, and it helps the sustainability of your team. This one right here, target an enemy at range 1. So when you see the 1, 2, and 3, it all has to do with how far away or how close your enemies are, right? And as you work through the auto battle, that's kind of how it, depending on where you are in relation to your enemy, depends on kind of what effects take place. So this flurry, deal 2.3 thousand physical damage over 4 hits, inflicting 1.4 thousand damage over 4 seconds, and then inflict 1.4k extra damage over 4 seconds to enemies under 0 armor. So it's got a pretty interesting kit here. Inflict minus 30 alertness, haste, and will for 10 seconds. So pretty cool stuff there. He does some nice damage there as well. All right, next is going to be Slash. Slash, actually, he was one that I got really early on. Oh, Shredder, by the way, you can get Shredder out of a normal summon. Or you can, I think it's called, honestly, I can't remember the quest line anymore on what it was called. Another enemy emerges or something like that. You do get Shredder, a 3-star Shredder, as a reward for that. So if you don't pull him, you'll eventually pull him through progression. Slash is great, nice damage. He's a turtle, and he does pretty well. He's been in my roster off and on for quite some time. So definitely one that is worth investing in as well. So what are we at now? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, number 9, Taka. Taka right here. I can't even remember how I unlocked him or where I unlocked him. It obviously was through a summon, but I got him pretty early on, and I kind of put him on the shelf until recently. And recently, I've added him to the team that I'm currently using in the 17- wherever I am. And because he does very well. So if we take a look at this, target all enemies within range 1, deal 2.4 thousand physical damage, inflict slow for 2 seconds, and then select a line at range 5 and target all enemies in it, inflict minus 2.4 thousand defense and root for 2 seconds. So there is a lot of crowd control with this guy, and I think he does really well. He's fit into my team pretty well, which is really based off AoE damage, stuns, and crowd control. And the more that you can control that enemy team, limit what they can do, and use characters that reduce their effectiveness, their defense, their speed, things like that, then you're going to come out on top every single time. So this guy actually was a sleeper hit for me. So I liked him quite a bit. Targeted enemy at range 1, deal 3.2 thousand physical damage, inflict minus 30 strength for 5 seconds. Again, a nice debuff there. So he works out really well as well. All right, now this 10th one, I'm going to say this 10th one is, so all of this, this list here is really based off my experience in the game and what I have seen in Discord. Now this 10th one is not one that I have personal experience with, but a lot of people like this character. So, with that being said, it's this guy right here, Genghis. I don't have him, but a lot of people like this guy, and I've seen him in a lot of people's rosters. But select an empty tile at range 2, move there, target all enemies within range 1, and do physical damage. So, as you can see, as you're building this up, gain plus 70 armor for 3 seconds, inflict slow for 4 seconds. He's got a really good kit here. Target enemy at range 1, deal physical damage. Once you build that up, minus 30 armor for 20 seconds, if not disarmed. Gain 30 strength, 30 armor for 4 seconds. Gain 70% stun resistance for 7 seconds. Now, when you go into PvP and things like that, a lot of the people you may go up against may have a stun. This guy works really well against those stuns. So he's going to be number 10. So let's make sure I counted that right. So we've got Genghis, we've got Taka, we've got Shredder, Slash, we have Michelangelo, Leatherhead, Donatello, and then we have Baxter, April, and Rocksteady. Those are going to be my top 10 best characters in the game right now. This is really early on, less than a week in the game, so I'm sure through balance changes and things like that, we are going to see some changes. But right now, I think those are the best characters in the game. All right, so let's go over the Lair really quick. This will just be a really quick thing. Now, the best thing you can do is really focus on your scrap collector. Reason why you want to focus on your scrap collector is that is going to obviously give you more scrap so you can level up the different rooms in your layer here. So this should be your primary focus. This and ooze. These should be the top 2 rooms that you work on. I would level them up together until you get to a point to where you can't max them out. Depending on where you are, what adventure level you are, you're going to be hitting walls until you hit a certain adventure level, and then you're going to be able to continue to level those rooms. Once you have to start making a decision on where to put your ooze to level up that room, or your scrap to level up that room, focus on the scrap until you hit a wall on that, and then move on over to the ooze collector, and that's really going to give you a balanced progression through the game as you're leveling up your rooms and as you're leveling up your team. Okay, so those are going to be the first 2 rooms. Priority number 1 is scrap. Priority number 2 is going to be ooze. Priority number 3, once you get there, you're going to be unlocking these other ones, but kind of save your scrap up and only unlock these other rooms as you have extra scrap. If you really have a ton of it, then you can start leveling up your research lab and your advanced lab. I don't really put a lot in those. I've slowly leveled these up over the last month and a half or so that I've been playing the game. And that's they just give hero bits at a really slow rate. Every little bit helps, but most of your scrap, again, if you want to continue to progress in the game and get through those harder difficulty levels and those harder battles, you're going to want to focus on scrap and ooze. Next is going to be your dojo. This is going to be your 3rd priority, your dojo. This multiplies the power value of all of your heroes. And as you saw when we took a look at that power breakdown, you saw dojo down there at the bottom. That gives that boost. You can see the boost to your character right there for every character that you have in your roster. So that is number 3. Those are going to be your 3 priorities when it comes in here. Now, if you want to take a look at what is going to come next, I would just kind of balance it between research lab and advanced lab. As you do your research lab for your hero bits, there your green hero bits going to give you blue hero bits. Blue hero bits, as you do summons, are going to give you purple. We don't have a purple one in here, so I would kind of balance those out as you're moving up. But it's going to be it should take a while because, again, your focus, scrap collector and ooze and dojo. Next is that workshop. The workshop, nothing in the game the workshop does not impact anything in the game right now. What it does, actually, so check it out. So what this is, it produces mod parts. This is for future content. So if I go into my inventory here, here's my mod part right there. See my mod part? I've got 22,000 right there because I've been putting a little bit in there. It's going to get you ready for future content. So once you get to a point where you have a little bit of extra scrap and you're not really hardcore focused on any specific room, you can start putting into that workshop, put a little bit in there to start building up some of those mod parts. I hope they don't get wiped before that future content gets here. But, whoa. So there you go. That is my suggestion when it comes to the room. Priority number 1, scrap. 2 is going to be ooze. 3 is going to be dojo. Do your research lab and advanced lab, kind of slow level those, and then trickle in some workshop, but that really doesn't impact the game right now until later on. So I would say once you're more towards mid to late game, then you can start putting a little bit into that. So there you go, everybody. That's what I had for you today. Top 10 characters so far in the game, in my opinion, and with the experience that I have so far, taking into account some feedback in Discord as well. And then my priorities as far as it comes to leveling up your rooms in your lair. All right. If you have any other suggestions or tips, let me know your guys' thoughts on that. I'd really be interested to hear what works best for you and who are your favorite characters in the game so far. All right, everybody. As always, I want to thank you all for taking the time to watch the video. If you liked it, make sure to hit that like button and share your thoughts and questions in the comment section below. Take care, everybody, and we'll talk to you next time.